Welcome to Slacker Gaming, where we give you information that will help you grow and learn as a player in MLB The Show 22. In this episode, we are going to go over how to get better as a hitter. So while you're hitting, these are some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years that will help you increase that batting average, help you increase those home runs, those RBIs. We'll go over all of that in this video. So if you'd like to watch that, stick around. Welcome to this episode where I'm going to go over the offensive side, and I want to teach you basically how to get better so that you can continue to win games, whether it be a dynasty mode, whatever you're doing. If you're doing Diamond Dynasty, if you're doing franchise, if you're playing against your friends and you want those bragging rights, I'm going to teach you basically the tips and tricks that I know and have learned through playing the game for several years, hitting a high average on online play. Basically going to go over the tips and tricks that I know. So the first thing that you need to know if you're starting out is basically how to hit in general. There's a ton of different ways you can hit, and my suggestion for you before you even start are two things. Play, if you're on offline, play on dynamic difficulty. This is a difficulty that as you play, it will get better or worse depending on how you're playing. So if you're playing like on rookie level and you're doing pretty good and you're starting to get better, it'll put you up to the next level and so on and so forth till you get to the point where you're basically maxed out on legend. I do this about every year. I start in the middle, basically on all-star, and I keep going up and up and up until I get to legendary. Once I hit that legendary, once I'm hitting at that type of hitting, I'll actually go in the Diamond Dynasty, start over from scratch, because when you're playing ranked games, you kind of start off on lower difficulties and you go way up. But I use dynamic difficulty to just get a feel for the game, understand it, and that you could do on offline mode. If you're doing online modes or Diamond Dynasty, that type of stuff, you want to utilize custom practice. Now, custom practice, all the way here, tucked at the bottom here, is here, and then you're going to select whatever you want to do. I'm just going to select the good hitters so that we can go over it, and I'll basically kind of show you what you can do in practice to get better. And while you're in here, you're going to hit the start button, then you're going to go to practice type, and we're going to do batting. You can do pitching and fielding, but I'm going to do a whole nother episode on that. The first thing is batting, and what you're going to do here is you're going to be able to set up what you want to do. If you want to just normally play, just kind of do whatever they have. If you are struggling, and this is what I'm talking about, if you're struggling with something, sometimes a high inside fastball, if you're struggling at taking pitches low, then this is where you're going to set that up. So we're going against a right-hander and Verlander. Let's say we struggle versus lefties, okay? So we're going to do that. We'll pick Trout just because he's a baller. And then let's say we struggle at knowing what balls are in the strike zone when throwing low. So we're going to go here. It's going to select all three, and then we're going to jump into it as the batter, and we're just basically going to get low pitches. You're going to try to learn what the pitches look like. If it means that you just sit here and take a couple and just say, oh, swing, that's a strike, okay? And then kind of just go through that and just like, look, strike, okay, and so on and so forth. They do throw balls in here, so keep that in mind. Just kind of learning the gameplay and how pitches come in. That one's a strike. There we go. And so that's basically what you're gonna do if you're struggling with like if it's a strike or a ball. And what I do is I struggle with low pitches, determining if it's out of the zone or not. So that's a great place to kind of learn that. There's so many options to go over. I can't even go over them all. But what I'm going to tell you is when you're doing this, go through the different hitting views. Go through the different types of hitting if you're new. If you've got a hitting type that you like, if you like use zone, buttons, flick, all that stuff, then stay with it and just learn and be really good at it. If you're kind of like, well, I don't know if I could do this, or I want to try this, to go ahead and try those in practice before you ever go online or whatever, just to get used to it and just so that you can play around with it a little bit. Same thing with hitting views. Just constantly move hitting views until you find one that you can really zone in on and be really good at. And that's like the biggest thing is telling you this is you have to try different things until you think, oh, hey, this one's really good. I think I could do really good at this. And then just focus on that. Just use that one, focus in on it, get really, really good at it, and then stick with it. It'll be the same thing with other things like pitching and stuff like that. If you want to use the PCI anchor, my suggestion is, this is brand new in the game, my suggestion is on the PCI anchor, only use it if you're struggling to hit a certain ball, whether it's a high and inside fastball or something like that, or you're struggling to get somewhere, then use it. If you don't struggle, if you can kind of get around or whatever, you're just kind of a little bit late, you could just work on, timing it up a little bit. But if you strictly cannot even catch it, then use the PCI anchor to try to help you throw it up there. The only bad thing about the PCI anchor is if you go high and inside and the ball ends up being low and outside, chances are you probably won't get good contact on that because it takes you so long to get your PCI from the top left to the bottom right. So my suggestion would be don't use a PCI anchor unless you're playing someone that's just constantly throwing high and inside fastballs and you can't just catch up with them and you don't want to worry about trying to go after them. You want to worry about contact, then try to do it. But my suggestion is don't use a PCI unless you have to. Same thing with these PCIs and the plate coverage indicators. Just mess around with the settings until you find one that you really enjoy, you really like. Sometimes I actually switch these to bigger, to smaller, and those are basically because how I'm playing. If I'm really locked in, I'll take the PCI outer completely off and just use the PCI inner. If I'm kind of struggling, I'll do the outer. It makes me feel like I have a bigger bat and a bigger zone to be able to hit the pitches. Same thing with color, transparency, all of that. Just do that, whatever your preference is. Just play around with it in custom practice and learn what you like, and then you can come back later and be better at it. Now that we've gone over kind of the settings of it, the same thing with practice type. If you're struggling with a certain thing, practice is perfect. If not, just try some online games against computer. Just kind of get in the flow. The biggest thing I can tell you to do is practice, practice, practice. The last big thing I'm going to tell you to do is try to play a level above what you're good at. So if you're good at All-Star, play on a level above that. If you're good on Rookie, play on All-Star. All that stuff you can do in game, and you're just going to basically play the game, get used to the timing, get used to hitting. All the players hit differently, all the pitchers pitch differently. You just kind of got to get used to the game speed in general and what you can do as a player. And then once you kind of got those in, like once you figured out like the timing and everything, that's when you're going to go to the practice type, and you're just going to do all and just basically get used to everything. So you're going to basically just get used to all zones there. You're going to do a pitcher that you struggle against. If there's a really, really fastball that you can't hit, like Stanek's 97 fastball, if you can't hit that, go ahead and practice against it, and you'll definitely be squaring them up before you know it. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you have any questions, comment them down below. I'll do my best to answer them. But the biggest things I could tell you, mess around with your settings until you feel comfortable. Make sure you play a level above what you're comfortable with so that you can get better at that level, and then you'll go up. If you're on offline modes, make sure you go dynamic difficulty. It will increase with you as you get better. It will go up. If you get worse, it will go back down, kind of help you stay in the certain level that you need to be in. And then the very last is practice, practice, practice. Just play the game, get used to it. Once you're used to one portion, go on to the next thing, and you'll get better at that as well. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Also, feel free to hit the red subscribe button, because we'll be coming out with plenty of more MLB The Show 22 content very soon. I'm also going to be releasing a pitching one like this. This one was hitting. I'll be doing a pitching one, probably release the same exact day. So if you need help with pitching, make sure you go over to the channel and check out that video as well. Till next time, Slacker out.